God, Brother Prime. This is Sarnetta speaking, brother. Yo, my man, I listened to all your CDs and I watched some of your DVDs. Beautiful work, brother. I had to give you a call to tell you, especially the music, man, excellent. That's hip-hop, which is dropping. And yeah, man, it's beautiful. I downloaded that joint, playing that joint in the car, and it's on now. It's on now, brother. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely proud of the work that y'all doing, and y'all doing it good out there. Keep on doing that work, brother.
When I speak, you can't talk unless spoken to. Most sound like records, broken too, with no facts. Trust me, I'm not quoting you. Melanin beings do what they're not supposed to, going against the biological makeup. Instead of shooting sun rays, guns they take up to go against tanks and carriers of aircraft. When I use air, the beast says no witchcraft. When I use fire, speak truth and shut up a liar. If I use earth, I'm calling on fam from the hollow core. When I use water, feel like a tsunami on y'all. Martin Luther told y'all non-violence. He was a warlock, Rosicrucian, handle magic in silence. Been on this continent, living in minus degrees and temp. In the plus is where my mind is. Open up your mind, iris. I said it's ISIS. A sun here root is to the crisis. Light of the world, watch me enlighten a nerd. In your stomach like the center, I frighten your turds. Give you the runs, patting your blurs with tones and words. Caucus skyscrapers are killing the birds. I'm giving you nerves and my goosebumps tingle your spine. You're listening to Iron Sheik and thinking it's prime. The absolute oils got me not stinking a dime. Can't check enough Pete's house, man, it's stinking a swine. Many sell out for a deal and sign with ink on the line. Incarcerating your speech for fiat, cars and yachts. Drinking devil's liquids, Henny and yacht. Rappers turn convicts, goddess turn bomb chicks. Niggas yelling fuck the police is nonsense. They got guns by the box and run your streets. Widow your so-called whore after they clap at your throat. Parole north, when caught, the gat didn't blow. I heard stories about men putting cock in a bro in the showers, or get guards to leave the watchtowers while the gang rape you in a bed of dead flowers. Thousands of brothers, they wore those briefs. Can't think how much semen is on those sheets. Most need to go in strong, not weak. Like my babe brothers, LeBron and Shakur Malik. It's not cool living in the jail cell. Rappers and MCs are liars and the truth they don't tell. Agents using examples of Larry Davis to have you shooting out with pigs from the basement to get caught and then become a killer replacement. Cops crooked like the eyebrow, plus they lie too. Seeing is believing, believing is fake. They say fuck fruition and have blind faith. They take your collection, won't give it to God. They take your perception and they give it to God. Seeing is believing, believing is fake. They say fuck fruition and have blind faith. They take your collection, won't give it to God. They take your perception and they give it to God. On the real, all these dirty boys know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty boys know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty boys know the deal. When the truth gets revealed, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty boys know the deal. On the real, on the real. When I uplift the fallen humans from the ashes, the phoenix will rise and live on after it clashes. Feathers and head wraps, costume ball sashes. Atlantis and Pangea was us ruling the atlas. The mundane, some god and numb brain. Judah is reincarnate, some self-proclaimed. Taking the lessons from Quran questions. Bible as my rolling pad, holy book circle 7. Forerunner Marcus Garvey coming in the whirlwind. Moorish Bobo Muftis in the black turban, pioneer exposed as the triple crown glows. Every negus has the negus as his throne, the temple as the body. Truth as my shoddy, with no bulge, I'm still armed without the robbery. Master arts martial, and they marshal the law. Peace offers abuse authority, fracture your jaw. Clapping at y'all at bachelor parties. Not knowing whether it's controlled by HAARP. Stopping the tapping of UH frequencies. Sent to the higher self from Sirius B, or maybe Sirius A. The reverse is serious internet radio play. Like Square Shreddy, are now dominant new. Misleading, they charge a bill 50 for a shoe. It takes $5 to make. They load trucks with bins. Same goes for cars, construction Tims. So clean, no stuff. Revolution chumps, reclining in the armchair, speechless like monks. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution on the power, yo, squeal. Change is coming. I'm watching hybrids running for shade, cause Earth's hot, not like a preheat oven. Raid the stores for UV protection. If AIDS can go through the condoms, who you protecting? Neglecting the truth and lie accepting. Not in for breed a person, reparations expecting. Planes going down, but you're not ejecting. Too busy flossing with the spinning rims and white feet is flexing. Fronts are fake elements, that's not real gold. Running from police with guns, it's not too bold, cause you got a gun but won't shoot back, son, or shoot first and earn your way off earth. Suicide is a sin and sin is ignorance. Not thinking clear makes you ignorant. Missing the message. Ego filling your brain with nonsensical thoughts just to drive you insane. On the real, all these 30 Moors know the deal. On the real, all these 30 Moors know the deal. On the real, all these 30 Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution on it, probably do it square. Our leaders labeled black, they were assigned to us. As ancients, we flew. We didn't have to ride the bus or drink at their fountain. We didn't even need our own. The gun is a penis and every man is holding a chrome. Thinking it's tough, but when you shoot, you bust. Like Vixens holding you in with the camera with clutch. Smoking a Dutch, but taught much against the master. Sellouts would pay karmic debt in the life after. Don't believe me, seek the truth. I hear Hail Hitler when I play back these hip-hop loops that rap hip-hop. Nas said it's dead. Same gun he raps about, shot J in the head. Cripple a team. These ball players, they cripple a dream. Counting the asses that they slap but won't get a bad rap. And rap sheets are written by them. It's police, not following Moors, but niggas booming in their Jeeps. Europeans on the bus, they acting like niggas. Straight off the plantation, looking like J Hill figure. From the foreigner, you'll never get compensated. This armor you man saying he's strapped, you been miseducated. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. On the real, all these dirty Moors know the deal. When we start the revolution.
All these dirty Moors know the deal. All of them know. All of them know. And like the Moors say, you just let them talk. So you can see that your nationality and your birthrights is yours. The nationality and the birthrights is yours, belongs to you. You're a beneficiary of a vast estate known as the Moorish / Moroccan, Al-Moroccan, whatever. It was an empire that spanned the globe. And honors to Noble Drew Ali for bringing us back to that mindset that's where we fell from. And everybody knows. Why would I need a license if everybody's us? If everybody's us, and everybody's living by certain principles and by a certain standard, why would you need a marriage certificate? Why would you need graduation at school? So people have taken this and compartmentalized it into some building. We're talking about empire, but all they could give reference to is a building. And then claim that they honor the man that brought whatever to them But behind closed doors, they are talking crazy. We know people who go to their meetings and they tell us, they talk crazy about you Moors, who are say that you're active Moors and all that stuff. They would call you rogue Moors or street Moors or, we're not Moorish Americans. We're some outcast Moors, right? They know what's up. And it has to be that somebody got something. No way you just do this just because. You can't sell out like this just because I don't even know what to call it. We're talking about Moors. We're not talking about Negro, black, colored people right now. We're talking about Moors. We're talking about people who had no plates. They never talked about whether they had issues or not, why they don't have their own plates now. But we know Moors who have their own plates now, and I have no issues. We know Moors. They don't have any issues. So they're doing something right. They did something right. They're whatever right. Because there's Moors I've known for years. They always had their own plates. Always. When I met them, they had their own plates. So we know it's something that's real. So somebody can't say that it's not a real thing or, well, because Black's Law Dictionary and we have to put things in context and all that stuff. Nah. Nah. It's not about context. It's about this is people's nationality and their birthrights. That you don't have jurisdiction over this to say that people shouldn't or couldn't or whatever because somebody smokes weed. They're some evil, you know what I mean, trying to take over the government. What are you talking about? Are you playing this panic thing like these other people? You're thinking that some last days or something like that, when that's been going on. We've been living in the last days. What are you talking about? During no withdrawals time was the last days. That's why it was Great Depression and all that. That was last days. What do you mean? Been living in it. So we strayed away from the program that this is your birthright. This is not a club. You can't join this. And because you joined it, you think this is like YMCA or something. No, when you become part of this, you're supposed to be coming with something so you could assist the nation. Not somebody, oh yeah, the Moors are back in the empire. Okay, we're just gonna chill, put our feet up, you know what I mean? And just hang out a little bit because we're the Moors, we're back. What you mean? You have nothing to do? Really? You just came from Negro Black Color saying that we're Moors and you have anything to do. You don't have no critical work that you need to do wherever you're at in order to get yourself solidified. If we're claiming more and Moors and Moorish nation, Moorish empire. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is yours. Nobody owns this. And anybody trying to sell you this on some whatever, however they're selling it to you. Like we're saying, at our temple, we have a bookstore, and we have some t-shirts and whatever like that. We sell those stuff. You got music, CDs, literature, you sell those. You ever have food one day, whatever, sell that. You know, somebody might do art gallery or something like that, auction off some stuff or whatever, finance exchange hands, you know what I mean? That's between whoever rented the space and did their thing. That has nothing to do with us. We never got any rent money or whatever because that was a member. And them being a member, that's one of their quote unquote privileges that you got access to a place to do what you need to do. Once it's not violating the principles and it's for a good cause, and all right. Right. So we don't charge for a birthright. You want to have some paperwork, witness because you got something to do, or you created a document, or whatever. Check your right. You got news up to date and all that stuff. All right, no problem. Witness, send this around. Everybody, whoever wants to witness this, seal it, and there's your document. Because you remember, because you got these privileges. But really, it's Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, not a club. Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. So I have an obligation as Grand Sheik to take people's calls on the Grand Sheik level, not the guy out there with a YouTube page and he gets calls and then he's going to go do an interview and charge them $800 per question and all that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. Like as a Grand Sheik of a temple, I have an obligation to the members because they made me. I never made me. The members are why there's a temple here. Because they pay their dues, and their dues go to them having a building, just like anybody else. Like what? What's the problem? But along with that is the aspect of civics and law, and not just you're doing some papers to claim that you're whatever. Well, there's underlying things. That's why we bring in the UN declarations and Organization of American States and different bodies that are right in harmony with what it is Noble Drawley told us that we could do as Moorish Americans, with no questions asked by anybody. And then the half has not been told, because if I told you everything, you're going to go back to sleep. So obviously, there's going to be things that we're going to find out our own. That, you know, even though it's because of Noble Drawley, it's not Noble Drawley. This is me doing my own due diligence and had whatever situation happened or whatever. That was me doing that now. So now this becomes something that's more than just being part of whatever, that I have a title. I know people got issues. That's why I take their calls. That's some popularity. A lot of people I talk to, I could tell them 100 a minute. People would say, I'll give you whatever. I'm like, no, just go on the site, pick up something that way, or send it to the temple. Because I don't look at this as it's about raping my people because I have some title. So I can play this position of prestige and have people hold my umbrella while I walk and all this. That's not what we were brought up in this for. This was about anybody you see with a fez on, you tell them Islam. And then they'll respond to you. And there's not supposed to be anything other than what we're here to deal with. Because we're Moors. There's already a standard set. And the standard is that we have to be active people. Just like the Moor talk about. They're going to go to store or whatever like that. and people bow down to them, call them prince and all this, just because they're being themselves. That's activity. Going to the mayor and then they honor your specific jurisdiction, and then you as a temple in a jurisdiction take that from the perspective of, yes, this is for our temple and our members or whatever. They're playing club. Because the flag that all these Moorish Science temples have does not represent the Moorish Science Temple. That's the national flag. So someone's flying a national flag and they're talking about civil rights. And just go along with the program. Don't know anything about anything. Just go along with the program and have your fez on. And you'll be a good Muslim. And come to your meetings and we're gonna sing hymns to Noble Drew Ali and clap and all that stuff. And people fall for it. That's what this is about. And then these same people are gonna take situations where they should be blaming the foreigner, but they're not going to blame the foreigner. They're going to blame the Moor and say, oh, well, that Moor was doing some sovereign citizen, whatever. That's why that happened. And if you do that, that's what's going to happen to you and all that. You're playing around because they already know all this. And they took to go to the other side officially. They officially took to go to the other side. This is why they never read the stuff to be read every meeting. And it was such a fascinating thing. It's such a fascinating thing to be told. Now read through Noble Drew Ali's literature, you know what I mean? Especially the Moorish literature, because some of the things in there are Noble Drew Ali, and some of the things in there are doctored. What do you mean? What do you mean by doctored? Doctored, not holistic, doctored. Some things in there are doctored. And it was Adam that dropped this on us, that gives supreme honors. But again, the most sincere ones don't care about title. The most sincere ones, title means nothing to them. It's about you're my brother, you're my mother. It's an automatic link, especially because we're saying Noble Drew Ali and all that stuff. Then there should be zero issues. There should be no infighting. There should be no problems between Moors and all that. But why is there a problem? Because even around Noble Drew Ali's time, he was talking about it. And he was talking about it before they took him out. The new Noble Drew Ali is the Moorish Empire. That's what they're trying to take out now. Because you already see this thing's crashing, and Noble Drew Ali said it's going to happen. And that happened in 1929. And we've been living in a crashed system since the 1930s. We live in a crashed system. And the rubble just keeps getting bigger because there's nothing there. Pile of rubble. People are waiting for something, talking about go over. Let's go to the pile of rubble and march and picket at the pile of rubble so we can get some rights. Now he laid out all these things. He told Moors, read these letters every meeting. Read these letters every meeting. Everything from Noble Drew Ali is in the first person. Just add a blessing. Like adepts know this. When you read through all the stuff, there's things that aren't in first person. If it's not in first person, don't attribute it to Noble Drew Ali. Don't. It's in there, you know what I mean? It might have been somebody, you know, he knew many people. Somebody maybe would have wrote the article as a, you know what I mean? All right, fine. My name is whoever. I'm going to put my name on this. Right? Noble Drew Ali always spoke in the first person. Always. That's how you know it's him. That's why he tells you, study the laws. People are looking at things that aren't in the first person, talking about, I'm more violated or whatever. That's not the first person. I don't even know Noble Drew Ali said that. Everything in the first person, I know for sure that was him. Why? Because when I read the stuff, resonated with me. That yeah, he would actually say that. He would actually put this out because I get where he's coming from. And then we enter at a time where all these stuff that this man has been told these people to read since the 1920s, 1930s, they weren't reading. And then when you read the letter, you realize what the hell's been going on around here. And that he knew, and that if he knew that much, no wonder he mysteriously died and all that stuff. No wonder. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. Right? They claim that he was only a joke and unreal. Right, now, let's just touch on that quick fast. They claim, remember, Noble Drew Ali is talking, letting you know. Now, if you're really Moorish Science Temple of America, right, there's no way you have a section on your website called Past Leaders of the MSTA, and Noble Drew Ali is not the first person on the thing. Like, how come he's not the first person?
Yeah, that's different.
Why is this individual the first individual that's used as past leaders? Why are they starting with him? And again, this is just everything that happened after Noble Drew Ali transitioned. That people on the outside of the movement are looking in, talking about, oh, the infighting with the Moors, not knowing that it was a sellout. There's no infighting. And then everybody followed after somebody who claimed to be either they were Noble Drew Ali or they claimed that they were some type of position in the movement by title. But it goes on to. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors, to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, not to all these different reincarnated prophets. He's calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness because he was a master metaphysician. But the people weren't there yet. So they lost out. Then now they're complaining, whether it's about taxes, whether it's about licenses, whether it's about welfare, whether it's about whatever, they're complaining. Why? Because they followed the sellouts with the dead status, while the sellouts themselves had their nationality tied up. They weren't even playing around that they're Negro, black, colored. And if you think you're Moorish American because you're a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, you're black or Negro or colored or Ethiopian. If that's your mentality, that this building, these people who came after Noble Drew Ali put up a building and then they give you your nationality. And Noble Drew Ali said, show your faithfulness to him, knowing that he was going to be taken out. Remember, he's knowing that he's going to be taken out. Months after Noble Drew Ali transition, these people were trying to get the everything. I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. Yours, not Grand Sheikh Kudrow's, not RV Bay Publications, not that Moor over there and that Moor over there. Your Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. Not the discord that is facing the movement, or the discord that is facing the temple, or the discord that is facing the nation. Tell me he wasn't dealing with we are a nation? You tell me he didn't think we were a nation? Why would he talk like that? And he actually has a nationality. Why would he talk like that if we weren't a nation? And we'll always be a nation once there's people who are claiming to be the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. So this is the straws that all these people are grasping at right now. By using this from the perspective, especially with this, in the Moors we're talking about, how with this new age, right? This social media age, because that's a new age. That's a whole new different world or whatever. With that, people are easily gobbled up. Islam Moors.
Islam, Moors.
Hold on, brother.
This is on chat. This Kasir Epi Rajal, domicile in Shaker Mexican, near Pennsylvania, Philadelphia territory.
Islam.
And Islam.
Islam Morris, his brother Yusuf, calling in from Morocco, near Massachusetts Court. Islam.
Was there anything anybody wanted to address before we move on?
Yep. Right off the rip. I go to this. This is about a couple paragraphs on
a certain movement we've been hearing a lot about, but nobody's clarified what this movement is really based upon. So it starts like this. Sovereign Citizen Movement. The Sovereign Citizen Movement is a loose grouping of American and Commonwealth litigants, commentators, tax protesters, and financial scheme promoters. Self-described sovereign citizens see themselves as answerable only to their particular interpretation of the common law and has no subject to any government statutes or proceedings. They didn't say anything about law. In the United States, they do not recognize U.S. currency and maintain that they are free of any legal constraints. They especially reject most forms of taxation as illegitimate. Participants in the movement argue this concept in opposition to the idea of federal citizens who, they say, have unknowingly forfeited their rights by accepting some aspect of federal law. The doctrines of the movement resemble those of the freemen on the land movement, more commonly found in the Commonwealth, such as in Britain and Canada, of course. Many members of the sovereign citizen movement believe that the United States government is illegitimate. J.J. McNabb, who writes for Forbes about anti-government extremism, has described the sovereign citizen movement as consisting of individuals who believe that the county sheriff is the most powerful law enforcement officer in the country, with authority superior to that of any federal agent, elected official, or local law enforcement official. The movement can be traced back to white extremist groups like Posse Comitatus and the Constitutional Militia Group movement. I'll read that part one more time. The movement can be traced back to white extremist groups like Posse Comitatus and the Constitutional Militia Movement. It also includes members of Moorish sects. The last part is the Federal Bureau of Investigation classified some sovereign citizen extremists as domestic terrorists. In 2010, the Southern Poverty Law Center estimated that approximately 100,000 Americans were hardcore sovereign believers, with 200,000 just starting out by testing sovereign techniques for resisting everything from speeding tickets to drug charges. Now, the reason I had to read through that is because if y'all remember when Mr. Sharif, Fed fly-off guy, was talking about his story, he created sovereign citizen stories by standing on his birthright, right? Then he called, if you stand on your square, he called that sovereign citizen stuff. He said that he beat and won in court, but he was not right. He said we were not right. We just knew more than the so-called judges and so-called policy enforcement, right? He said, but now they have all this new training. So when the brother Ben X was like, oh, well, what are we supposed to do now? Just take the ticket and fight in the court. How, if you supposedly did all of this work before, that have them trained to stop it? And what is a sovereign citizen but something that derives from a white extremist group? And notice, we are Moorish nation. There's no such thing as Moorish sect. Sects are from religion.
Islam. Brother Yusuf.
Islam. No, just because the more went in, because it's the same thing over and over again from the same type of crowd. They're just trying to. I think one of the more said it earlier. The Grand Sheik said it earlier. They what they're really doing is trying to make an attack on the empire.
Yeah.
You know, but by all the propaganda that they pushing, and that really hit me when you said it too. I was like, man, that's what it really is. It's to keep us subjugated, to keep us where we're at, and to keep the Moorish Empire non-existent, like it's not there, like it's not what it is. Like because it's almost as if they're trying to make it seem as if Morocco's over there. Like they agree with that. concept.
More
Because
than
I never hit.
more than we're empire. Yeah.
Right.
Sabir Bay type thinking.
Oh. You know, so that's what I'm seeing a lot of right now. You know what I mean? I'm seeing that over and over again. And then a lot of the things too, just by what the Moore was just reading, I can tell like every time they're saying this sovereign citizen stuff, like when they try to put Moors in it, that's their definition of what they're saying Moors are in. Like, and I because that's the exact, and they're using it from the SPLC definition of what some so-called sovereign citizen is, because I can hear it when they talk about it. They'll try to put us in that same category, and I'm like, oh, that's where they get this concept from. The concept comes from the SPLC or whatever. Like that's where their whole, that they don't pay taxes and all. They get that whole concept from the SPLs, because there's nobody else saying this definition but them. They're the ones that everybody is getting their information from. As soon as the article comes out, they tell you what SPLC is saying about us. Every article.
Oh, and peep how we put him back into his place by his own, by like him saying sovereign citizen, and that definition I read from the sovereign citizen. Look at it. This is the definition of sect. A noun, a group of people with somewhat different religious beliefs, typically regarded as heretical, from those of a larger group which they belong. So who would be the real sect? So if we're the larger group in which Sharif Bey belongs, and then his like the things he's saying is off of his own beliefs, which is how you define religion. Wouldn't that make him the people, or him and his people, the people who are portrayed as the Moorish sect, the ones who split off from the actual nation and are doing outside movement things?
Right.
A group of people with somewhat different religious beliefs from those of a larger group which they belong. So we already know Moorish ain't religion; it's a nation. So if you got religious beliefs that's outside of the nation, then you're actually going rogue and against the nation. That makes you a traitor.
Yeah. Because you should be going in harmony with the nation.
Right. And then so when he's saying, "Oh, we created the sovereign citizen stuff," that's out of his own mouth. I would say you were standing on your birthright, but because you're saying that we got to take it as law. He said it. He said he created this new thing that we see as sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That's out of your mouth. Just know that us Moors, we're going to stand on our birthright and protect our mothers and honor our forefathers and foremothers like the Prophet told us to. I don't know where he's getting this stuff. It sounds like sectism.
But that's what it is, because after Noble Drew Ali transitioned, all these different heads of the Moorish movement went and did their own little sect thing. They went and did their own little club, whatever. Took what Noble Drew Ali brought, some of them even going with more. Because when you talk about Father Divine and those people, they were big time. They weren't small time back then.
Like, look at this guy. Like, look at him. I mean, like, really just get a good look at him, or like really look at him. Does he look like your brother? Does he look like he gonna help? He's gonna stand on his own right?
But that's the crazy part, though, that he did stand on his own rights. They did stand on their own rights. They stood on birthright. They stood on birthright. If you stand on birthright, you know how real this is. Only those people would really understand how real it is. To be faced with the mercenary and you stand on your birthright and they yield. Not dealing with any race, not dealing with any type of color of anything. Just you stand on your birthright and they respond based on how you presented yourself. And most times the presentation alone makes them yield and want to know more. Like there's Moors out here, like early in this, that they're getting kidnapped because they stood up on saying that I'm a Moor. They get kidnapped. They're in the cell. Highwaymen are approaching them, asking them about how could they save on taxes as Moors. They're in the cell. Whatever, sign your little paper, your own recognizance, whatever, and you're out of here. That wasn't an arrest. Okay? You didn't get any tickets, nothing like that. Nothing happened. So
it's funny you said that.
Yeah.
Well, you said the policy enforcers was asking about how to get tax breaks, because it's going to bring me to what he was talking about in his next point when we get to this video. But wasn't he talking about census?
Yeah, that's that. Right on it. Wow. Right on it. We're about to go push play right now. Then, since you're ready.
Anybody have a question that you think?
Let me handle the brother Kevin.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Kevin. Yeah, go ahead. That one.
Right. He asked my thought about the 2020 census. So recently, there was there's been recently, as in the past 4 or 5 months, there's been a lot of talk in Moorish circles about participating in the 2020 census, and pardon me. And there's been an idea to use the census as a way to use the participation of the census as a way to compel government to refer to or recognize Moorish Americans by the name Moorish American or Moor. And so the strategy that was formulated by a couple people was to check other race on the form, and then write in, because there's a write-in section, and then write in, Asiatic Moorish, or write in Moorish, or write in, they themselves weren't together on what to exactly write. And so what had happened with my team, our team, Ali's men, we're a research team, among other things.
Hold up. Did he say Ali's men?
Yeah, Ali's men.
This is the Harker boy. This is the Harker boy. Oh, this is the Harker's homie. So we should already know the dirt is getting in. This man, I can't listen to this guy talk, bro. Cause he's like, okay, is he saying this is how, this should be the way you declare who you are to the courts? Is by going into the census? But doesn't the Department of Commerce conduct census?
I don't think they heard you. Say that again.
I said, he's saying in order to declare who you are to the de facto, go through the census paperwork. But isn't the census paperwork controlled and administered by the Department of Commerce?
Mm.
So are you putting your stuff on there is making you you're performing commercial activity, which is not nationality. And it brings me further to the Constitution, because I can't. He didn't say nothing about the Constitution. But Constitution Article 1, Section 2, I go to the third paragraph. It says representatives in direct tax. The representatives in direct tax shall be apportioned among the several states, which may include within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding the Indians not taxed 3/5 of all persons. So the whole thing is like, this is to tax people. And then how can we prove that? Go to 13 United States Code, Chapter 5, dealing with census. Subchapter 4 is dealing with interim current data, right? We go to that, and we deal with surveys in subsection 182, surveys. It says the secretary may take surveys deemed necessary to furnish annual and other interim current data on subjects covered by the census provided in this title. So it seems that they're talking about subjects. But let's keep reading so we can prove that. Let's be sure. Let's go to subsection 183, dealing with use of most recent population data. It says that except as provided in subsection B for the purpose of administering any law of the United States in which the population and other population characteristics are used to determine the amount of benefit received by state. Now, this is the crazy part. How does the state receive a benefit unless you're dealing with 14th Amendment? Now you're violating the prophet. Because the prophet said the 14th Amendment is not needed for the salvation of the people. But this the language sounds like 14th Amendment. So I got to keep going, deal with the definition, right? The definition is 184 subsection. And it says the term local unit of general purpose government means a government, listen more, a government of a county, municipality, township, Indian tribe, Alaska Native village, or other unit of government other than state, which is a unit of general government. And the term state includes the District of Columbia. That 1871 work. What are we talking about?
Colored.
He needs to take that damn fez off. He needs to take his fez off. Because the way he's talking, he don't need to wear that to talk that type of talk. He needs to take the fez off and have a normal conversation with the young man. Because he's not standing on the Moorish principle. Mothers, this is not a man. This is a coward. He can't protect. He used to, but once you stumble off of that square as a man, look at the prophet in the 101. He's holding the woman. Look at Kukulkan. Khan. He's holding the woman. So there's no room for the man in the prophet's arms. So if you fall off your square, you just fell.
Well, Yusuf, you have anything to add?
Yeah, just like the brother was saying when he brought up census were being correlative to taxes, even in the definition itself, in the dictionary, in the Webster's New International Dictionary, page 355, census is a noun, Latin census. It says number one, Roman history, a numbering of the people and valuation of their estates for the purpose of imposing taxes, etc.
It's a lot.
So it's right in the definition. That's what it said. It said. That's how I used to say it all the time back in the day. I'd be like, "Yo, you better look up census because that word don't mean what we think it means." They better look up census.
Yeah, you want to put that out one more time?
It's in the Webster's New International Dictionary, on page 355, census is a noun, a Latin word. Census says, number one, in Roman history, a numbering of the people and valuation of their estates for the purpose of imposing taxes, etc. And number two even says a tax, especially a poll tax. Like it just keeps going in on tax. It's just so just to back them more, just to back them, Islam more.
Islam. Right? And then remember that they notice this man is not dumb. This man was the adepts that our adepts used to go to.
Yeah.
Our adepts used to go to Sharif Bay lectures. The people who we consider the adepts for us used to go to Sharif Bay lectures.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on right now? What is going on? Like something's going on.
Remember when he tore Reggie up in that debate?
Whopped Reggie.
He mopped him.
And that was around the wavering time too, when it was like, hey, what side are you? Okay, yeah, good job defending the Moors, but something's fishy.
Mm-hmm.
I smell smoke.
Something's off.
Oh man.
Something's
so
off.
is he saying this is in his I guess coloring? Is he trying to say census is what we supposed to be using to identify ourselves?
No, I think it was just based on the question that was asked, to his perspective on the census, and they were saying how they're gonna fill it out.
And that's another thing too. It's like you're dealing with questions that from people that are in the chat of this guy. It can't be anybody that like knows anything because they're in our chat. I don't see any of our Moors in there, so those questions can't be. But only color, like they can only get a color answer back because it's a color question. Well,
it's a Bay that sent the question, and it must be somebody they know that's in the chat.
That's a Bay without a fez. That's a fedora Bay.
Right.
Islam, Grand Sheik.
Islam, man.
Now, because just watching it, and reading history from back in the day with the Moors, with our ancestors back in the day, I'm still seeing a conversion of Moors becoming Moriscos, like a Christianization. You know what I mean? Like getting baptized, taking the other side willingly, for some type of benefit. Like that's what some Moriscos was doing back in the day. They saw at the end that they might receive a benefit by converting over to Christian. And that's what I'm starting to see all over again. Like, because we know history repeats itself. So I'm starting to see a lot of the same thing again. Like the Moriscos coming back, because they just willingly switching over for the benefit. That's what when you especially like when you read like in the beginning of We Are All Moors, he breaks all of that down. The Moriscos, some siding over to try to get a benefit, but some of them getting put to the stake for not taking the benefit. You know what I mean? But there's no stakes right now. You know what I mean? They just willingly crossing over, like willingly, just for the benefit. Like that's what they want to do. And what it leads to is, again, back to what the Grand Sheik said. It leads back to an attack on the empire, because this is how the empire fell. When they said that the Moors were so-called fighting amongst each other, this is what it was right here. The selling out right here. Moors taking the benefit. Moors giving up the key to Granada, for the benefit. It's the same thing.
Moors putting Europeans in slavery.
For the benefit. For the benefit.
Moors creating Europeans.
Yep. For the benefit. For the benefit.
That's how you know the sellout. They want the benefit.
That benefit goes deep.
Right? And there's a difference. There's a difference between accepting the benefit and being a beneficiary. Don't get the two of them confused.
Right.
Islam. More like when y'all talk about the benefits, I was reading Declaration of Independence, and the Europeans, like, people need to read this one, especially more, because the whole document is the Europeans trying to plead to one of the Sultans to come help them because these British Moors is kicking ass, and they wasn't like, they was doing stuff like taking them on boats, holding court on a boat, bro. And if you didn't want to do whatever they were saying, you got to jump into the water. And then when you jump and die, and then they take your wife, they take your house, they take your kids, put the wife up in a harem, take the kids, put them in slavery. The children, put them in slavery. So you already, it was crazy. But this part right here is where you can kind of see what all of this, like, this stuff that the British war was doing, how it was impeding the benefits to the Sultan. So it says, we have reminded them the circumstances of our emigration. So they're right there too. The Europeans are saying that they're immigrants to England. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity. Remember that word, Morris? And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations. So they were trying to plead to our side, like, yo, y'all got to remind y'all cousins that they was, we mixed together with them or we miscegenated with them, so they shouldn't be doing it to their bloodline. But it was crazy to say, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. See, so this is the only time I ever heard the Europeans talk blood, ever. They never talked blood, but right here they did. They were trying to say that the British Moors wasn't recognizing that that they had consanguinity with them. They were just treating them like animals. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of humankind, right there, the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. So in peace friends. And so they're saying Islam to us because of what was going on. And they also referred to who they were writing to. I think it was the Sultan. They called him the judge of the world. So they were recognizing the jurisdiction that we held back then. It was like evidence. So you see what they're talking. Oh, it says right here. It says we therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions due in the name and by the authority of good peoples of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are of right and ought to be free and independent states. See, so all of that goes back to the treaty after this took place, showing you that this is it's a whole business thing. The whole business deal, but it shows you that they talk blood about being connected in bloodline to the so-called Brutish. They recognize our people as the judges of the world, and it just shows you them pleading to Moors for restitution, but they never talk about that in history.
Islam.
Islam more. Everything to add in?
I yield the floor.
Islam.
Yep.
We were asked for our opinion, researched opinion, and recommendation on that. Right? You're gonna like this, brother. And pardon me. And there's been an idea to use the census as a way to use the participation of the census as a way to compel government to refer to or recognize Moorish Americans by the name Moorish American or Moors. And so the strategy that was formulated by a couple people was to check other race on the form, and then write in, because there's a write-in section, and then write in, you know, Asiatic Moorish, or write in Moorish, or write in, you know, they themselves weren't together on what to exactly write. And so what happened with my team, you know, our team, Ali's men, we're a research team, among other things. We were asked for our recommendation. We were asked for our opinion, researched opinion and recommendation on that. Right? You're gonna like this person next. So we did the research. Our recommendation.
It's a joke to him.
Recommendation is that if we are going to participate in the 2020 census for the purpose that the census is made for, our recommendation is to check the box that says Black or African American and then write in Moorish. That was
I gotta hear it again. I gotta hear it again. Hold on. I gotta. I gotta hear it again. Hold on.
For the purpose that the census is made for. Our recommendation is to check the box that says Black or African American and then write in Moorish. That was our recommendation. We caught a lot of flack and a lot of fire from a lot of Moorish Americans or members of the movement over that recommendation. My leadership, who was also a recipient of our report, my leadership later made a recommendation, and that recommendation did not coincide with our findings or our recommendation. All is well. I'm a soldier. We're also a research team, but I follow my leadership. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that was what took place. Now I'll say this really quick.
Check off Black Moors because you're Black African American.
And if you do that, they're gonna cross your Moorish American out and just leave the Black there. Come on, he just said that like a couple sentences before that. They'll cross out and put white. Well then what would stop them from crossing out the Moors when you didn't check something already? It's a contract to the Department of Commerce, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot. I got this little thing right here.
Go
ahead, More. Go ahead.
No, I'm going through Zodiac Constitution with CNB, bro. But it says Article 3, tax and military exemption for Moorish Americans, the Bays and the Elves. The Moors, referred to as Negroes, definitely can never be members and citizens of the Union Society of the 48 States. Therefore, it cannot be forced or drafted into the Union, USA Army, or military service to fight for the Magna Carta Code for white supremacy against themselves. So, keep reading. The lawmakers of the 48 States Union order cannot force Moors, Bays, and Elves to pay taxes because taxation without representation is a supreme violation of the Moorish Zodiac Constitution first rights of Islam. Let me say that again. The lawmakers of the 48 States Union order cannot force Moors, the Bays, and Elves to pay taxes because taxation without representation is a supreme violation of the Moorish Zodiac Constitution first rights of Islam. When the Union lawmakers denounce their immoral Magna Carta Code and resort to the Moorish Zodiac Constitution, the Moors are compelled to pay taxes because everyone of the nation will be equally represented by it. There is no room in the science of masonry, i.e. the zodiac, for mystic god religious worship, race, color, ignorance, war crimes, slavery, and human injustice.
Islam. Islam, brother Asar.
Islam, Morse. Yo, that guy just said check off Black African American. Wow.
Yo.
Wow. That was crazy, man. I didn't think he was going to say that. That was crazy. When he said that, man, I was just like going straight against. I mean, didn't the prophet say you are not Negro, colored, or black? Why would you check off what you're not?
No, let me ask you, and from the perspective of, because I'm still in shock or whatever, because we know these more, you know what I mean, but because I don't even know if you've ever been on before or whatever, but how you get into the Moorish information, and you know what I mean, what made you stick out to knowing about your nationality and birthright that Noble Drew Ali brought?
Honestly, oh my bad. Honestly, what happened was I was at that lecture with Seti and Arlene, and I actually was put on to, you know, the Moorish science, you know, then when I went to the lecture and I saw what Arlene was saying, I was like, wait, that sounds a lot like what the Nation of Gods and Earths was saying, because that's what I was brought up in. And I was like, oh, you know, but the first time I ever heard about Noble Drew Ali was from the Black Pea Stones in Washington Heights in New York. You know, before that, I never heard of him. You know, no, I'm talking to them. I never heard of that ever. But honestly, after that lecture, you know, my mind was open and I was still in my little Afrocentric mind. But then I actually talked to Cujo and he kind of set my mind straight. So, you know, yeah, thanks to you, bro. I got really, really put on to the information. Rashid.
Islam, man.
So,
Thanks.
Islam,
Islam, go ahead. Anybody else have anything? Oh, what's that? Islam. Yeah, we'll just play a little bit more of this thing right here.
The flaws in this are here, because we stand by that, Brother Kevin Jasper. We stand by that, by our findings, and this is why. The purpose of the census. First of all, I don't want to take too much time. Let me just say this. Two questions.
The video
by anybody who wants to have the conversation. One.
Say it again, more.
No, I was laughing at this.
Can you show? You can't show the video? Or how did that?
Oh, sorry, my bad. I got
no, you good. You good.
I got it. I got caught up. Just getting familiarized still.
Yeah.
Tell me the purpose of the census. You can't tell me the purpose of the census, we can't go any further. Two, if the objective is to get the government to recognize our people as Moorish Americans officially.
Do you want to just go over that thing of the census again? What the census is? Because I think they missed something. They're talking about recognizing and all this stuff. I don't know what they're talking about recognizing. I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the definition of census that you read.
I knew he was trying to make this about identifying. I got something. I haven't wait done.
Because we have to be
watch that out. Put that
very critical
I'll put it
in
on
the
the road.
social media age. This is why all these certain people's stuff, we always nitpick at their stuff.
And like
Go ahead,
and
Mark.
like you said earlier, he knows this already, Grand Sheik.
Yo, he doesn't not
Because
know.
because like I always say, before I read the definition, remember, I always say it, I'm nobody. I'm the dust in the corner that don't get swept up. So if I knew that, I know he knew this. Ben knew this. 27 years, remember? He's been doing this 27 years.
Sellout is real.
Oh, it seemed like that he's trying to use this as identification, and you remember the Sundry Free Moors Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to get a copy of that from South Carolina Corporation so I could have my own copy. But when I got it, they sent me the front cover of the document, and it doesn't say act; it says petition. So then, like I'm like seeing how even them calling it an act is kind of off. So it says petition 1789, right? You add 1789 up, that's 7. But then the number of the petition 115. But 115 is 7. So it's really petition 7, number 7. And then you go into this, John, go down, third paragraph down. It says, the views of slaves and free blacks are rarely found in the petitions. Blacks were often the subject of petitions submitted by whites. So see, now doesn't that sound familiar? That sounds like census stuff. Okay? Petition submitted by whites, so they would, dock them up. But in one unusual case, 4 former slaves petitioned the House for a clarification of their legal status. So see, now this is a whole different ballgame. I just want to be clarified what my legal status is, and they can't clarify anything. But we keep going. It says the ex-slaves Francis, Daniel, Hammond, and Samuel have been subjects of the Emperor of Morocco. Now watch this, Morris. This part is important. Subjects of the Emperor of Morocco when they were captured by an African king. Sorry. I thought the Moors put everybody in slavery. How did the African king capture the Moors? Okay. So they were delivered to Captain Clark on a promise that he would take them to England, where the Moroccan ambassador would ransom them. But instead, they were sold in South Carolina as slaves. Eventually, the 4 men purchased their own and their wives' freedom. They now wanted to be assured that if accused of a crime, they would be tried as subjects of a foreign nation by the court of general session. So see, there you go. General session court, foreign nation, that abides with the Constitution. Rather than as free blacks by magistrate and freeholders court. See? Freeholders court. The House decided that the men were citizens of Morocco and thus subject to the laws governing, not subject to the laws governing free blacks. So, but one of the biggest points in there that I wanted to point out was that notice how they're talking about England, Moroccan ambassadors, South Carolina, African king. That's all happening in one place in Morocco, not foreign over there in 1956 Morocco. Remember, guys, this is 1789, but it's kind of been that Morocco. This is this Morocco, Alpha Oxford, Western Empire, or Western Barbary.
That's a fact. Yeah, we got this.
Second question is, what agency or department of the federal government is over or oversees racial classification? If you can't answer that, we can't go any further with the conversation. But if you can answer both questions, if you can tell me what the census is for, and you can office
more hold on, that's color.
Overseas
He's playing games.
Racial classification standards.
Good, Mark.
You can't say that. You can't say that like that. It's like because he's talking about the census. But then the question that he asked was like, how did he say it?
Oh,
How did he say that?
rewind. We could rewind it.
Colored.
We could rewind it. Hold on.
Let me hear this dude.
Because we stand by that, Brother Kevin Jasper. We stand by that, by our findings, and this is why. The purpose of the census. First of all, I don't want to take too much time. Let me just say this. 2 questions we'll ask to pre-qualify anybody who wants to have the conversation. 1, tell me the purpose of the census. If you can't tell me the purpose of the census, we can't go any further. 2, if the objective is to get the government to recognize our people as Moorish Americans officially. The second question
that's what I'm saying.
What
that's the color part.
agency?
That's the color part.
Go ahead, more.
He's saying the goal is to get the so-called de facto to recognize Moors. They already recognize Moors. You can deal with Resolution 75. But then he's saying the way to do that is through the census. I knew this dude is playing an agent to get people to claim their nationalities through the census. That's what, because he's saying identify like we're and our Ali's and leaders, we're just trying to say that this document could help this. And then he said, what organization is over that? Who runs it? But he never said it. It's the Department of Commerce. He said if you can't answer it, it's like the way he did it. It's like he answered his own question and then made it so you can't ask him a question. Basically, this is that like bait and switch technique. Like he said, yeah, well, I'll answer any of your questions, but let me give you 2 protocols. 1, we can't say anything about Moors. 2, we can't say anything about people. Go ahead. And how can you give me the question that you want to ask if everything is about people being Moors? I just say you can't talk about Moors or people. So we can't, like, see what I mean? It's like the way he just presented that was colored to where you can't even ask him the question. House during Resolution 75, I just think somebody put it in the chat. Hold on, Morris. 1 second. Oh, here we go. 1933 Legislative Journal, House page 5759, Resolution number 75. Mr. Whitkins, and Mr. Speaker, I desire at this time to call up Resolution number 75, printer number 1034. So the resolution was read by Clark as follows. In the House of Representatives, April 17, 1933, many sons and daughters of that proud and handsome, they say race. So let's just play with this game. Let's just play with this race game. Since we're talking about race, let's see what the House resolution says about so-called race. Handsome race, which inspired the architecture of Northern Africa and carried into Spain the influence of its artistic temperament and have become citizens of this nation. So, we know citizens, but nation. We know it's colored, but it's what the whole point and context is. They're going to get into in the next paragraph. In the city of Philadelphia, there exists Moorish American society made up of Moors who have found an end to their quest for a home and of the children of those who journeyed here from the plains of Morocco. Understand the plains of Morocco is here. So that's the whole subjugation. They're using words of color, but then telling you at the end, it's all about you being a Moor from Morocco. And, you would just have to know what Morocco is on your own. You're the Moor. So this society has done much to bring about the thorough absorption by these people of the principles which are necessity to make them good American citizens. Now watch this, Morris. American citizens ask any of these state officials if that state is an American state or a United States. And they're going to tell you United States. These so-called states aren't American states. Morris, Pennsylvania is not an American state. That's a British colony under the crown. So what is an American state? Morocco's one. We got El Salvador, that's one. We got what's another one? So-called Booty Cane, right? Boricua, right? So those are American states, not this other stuff that they're talking about. So who is he even pushing his ideology to when it comes to him declaring who he is? If he doesn't even, he's not even showing that he's quantified of what state is. We know he knows, but he's talking to unlearned people like this big guy here with the fedora on. He does. He may be unsure of what a state is, in its actuality. But right here it's saying American citizen. we're not United States citizens at all. And this is the fact of word saying.
Yeah.
So we're Moorish Americans in this document. Oh yeah, let me get to the most important part. Americanization of the former Moors, and that in accordance with the fullest right of religious independence guarantees every citizen, we recognize also the right of these people to use the name affixes El, Ali, or Bey, and any other prefix or suffix which they have heretofore been accustomed to use, or which they may hereafter acquire the right to use. So see what I mean? It's colored in the way they said it, but the recognition is there. It goes against everything this man is saying, and this is a de facto corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he say the goal is to get them to recognize us as Moorish Americans?
Yep.
They recognize us as Moorish Americans in Resolution 75 already.
Skipped over the tribute, skipped over the taxes, and talking about identity.
Wow. Oh my God.
The Department of the federal government is over or oversees racial classification. If you can't answer that, we can't go any further with the conversation. But if you can answer both questions, if you can tell me what the census is for, and you can tell me what office handles or oversees racial classification standards in America,
you know what I mean?
then you will see the logic in our recommendation. Here's the fact. Most of our people aren't participating in the census anymore. Just keep it a buck. Not even participate. You see what I'm saying? Secondly, to participate in it for any other reason other than what it's for is simply unintelligent. Thirdly, I'll throw this one out there. It's not the U.S. Census that oversees racial classification standards. All they do is record. So you can write whatever you want to write on it. We asked them personally. We have the record. We asked the officials of the U.S. Census. We said, if you write some other race and then write in Asiatic Moorish, what is going to get recorded? You know what they told us, brother? They said, well, to us, Moorish is North African. And in our system, we classify North Africans as white. And Asiatic, we would call Asian. So if you wrote in some other race and wrote Asiatic Moorish, we will write in over you that you are mixed race, white and Asian. So that's the representation of what it really does, which is one of the major issues. Follow me. That other people of our people have with the Moorish movement is this tendency to try to separate ourselves from the rest of our people.
Somebody says, does the tassel on the fez have a meaning?
Yes, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum. I'll get to you in just a second. I mean, just in general, with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, hold him in high esteem. Prophet Noble Drew Ali did not separate himself. If he said, well, hey, I'm a Moor and you all need over you, that you are mixed race, white and Asian. So that's the representation of what it really does, which is one of the major issues. Follow me. That other people of our people have with the Moorish movement is this tendency to try to separate ourselves from the rest of our people.
Somebody says, does the tassel on the fez have a meaning?
Yes,
guys.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Islam.
That's exactly what I was talking about. See what I mean? How he it wasn't like he should have said the Department of Commerce. But when he said, when we wrote to those officials, he made it seem like it's a department of the census. He said, the census, the officials of the census. But he never said the Department of Commerce.
Yeah.
Sign the information. Then it's like he bounced around that, never answered it, and he got right out of there. Then now they're talking about what does the tassel mean on the feds. It's like, what does that have to do when he's trying to send you on to slavery? Tassel, what do you have to know about a tassel for when you're about to go into slavery? Look at this guy.
But that's the same thing that I talk about. That he's talking to that audience as if they're on some nationality and birthrights. They don't know.
7:33.
They're absolutely ignorant of what this is about.
What is he saying to use? Because remember, he was talking about rights to travel. What is he saying that he uses to so-called identify himself? Like we have to think that. Like, so are you saying you have an ID? Are you got a state identification type stuff? Because his language doesn't sound like he will pull out an identification card anymore.
Maybe not Alodio, but he might pull out a more Science Temple of America identification and membership card.
Yeah, see, and it's the crazy. This is the crazy part. Like, since we talk about identification, I'm saying you're looking at especially mentioned identification document 1508 of Department of Justice, 18 USC 1028, and this is what it says. Section 1028 of 18 designates 3 special non-federal identification documents and gives them preferred treatment. Now, Morris, it's showing you right there how it's like these documents don't even identify you under any federal term. They're not federal they're not federal identification documents. So why does the federal government say you need those to identify yourself? That's the whole backwards part. These 3 documents in the absence of a national identity card. Now, what is a national identity card? Like, if you were to go down to so-called state government people and say, yeah, I'm down here to get my national identity card, what will they present you with? Is there any such thing as an national identity card when it comes to the courts? Do we have access to national identification cards? Because if we do, it's saying right here in the Department of Justice, not the Department of Commerce, Department of Justice, love you, peace, freedom, and Department of Justice, right? It says in the absence of a national identity card. So this right there is letting you know they recognize national identity cards. It wouldn't be there. It says so those 3 documents, which are non-federal identifications, those are needed in the absence of a national identity card. So I was then asked, if you have a national identity card, why do anything with a census? Let me deal with this too. They list like a little bit of the what these documents actually do. Watch this, Morris. Please pay attention, Morris. Birth certificate is not defined in 18 USC subsection 1028 since it is self-explanatory. Let's see how it's self-explained. This document is issued by different agencies in different states and foreign countries. Nevertheless, it represents the official government statement by the proper government agency that a person having such a name was born on a particular day in a particular place on particular specific parentage. That's all business terms, Morris. But this is the part that I want you to really get. Obviously, it says obviously, like you're supposed to get this. Obviously, a birth certificate is not intended to actually identify the person who claims such a document pertains to him. What? So they're saying right there, the Department of Justice, by the way, is saying it. Obviously, a birth certificate is not intended to actually identify the person who claims such a document pertains to him. More, this can go to court with you as document and evidence. Put it in your mind, it'll be even better. You don't have to have any paperwork. B, driver's license is not defined in 18 USC of section 1028. The original purpose of this government-issued document was to state that a particular person, was authorized to operate a vehicle upon the public roadway. I don't know about operating vehicles. I know about traveling in my private automobile, private property. I know about that. I don't know about operating vehicles upon public. That sounds very businessy. It was not intended to establish one's identity. So here we go again. That's not presented. Okay, so the birth certificate the birth certificate is obviously not supposed to identify you. The driver's license, being a so-called driver's license, is not identifying you. So let's see about personal identification card. Defined. So this is in 18/10/28. So maybe maybe this might work. An identification document issued by a state or local government solely for the purpose of identification. What do they mean by that? This definition would appear to limit such documents to those issued by a domestic, i.e., within the United States governmental entities, and in contrast to the two birth certificates and driver's license. This document is normally issued by the state departments of motor vehicles to provide an identification document for those persons who do not, for some reason, obtain a driver's license. So more, all three of these documents, like they said, can't be federal because they don't have anything to do with identifying. I think we should stick to national identity cards.
Islam. Brother Yusuf, you got anything to add in?
And I yield the floor for right now. The brother just laid a lot of facts down, and I was taking some notes down because it got me over here thinking too. Like exactly. Those three documents he read don't have anything to really do with who you are. They it's all colored.
Right.
You know, and my thing too is, it's like, because we read the definition, it's just for a tax, and the thing is, to me, is just the participation they get in it. It's not really what you check. That doesn't even matter to them. It's just the participation that they need on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need these people just to participate in it. I don't think it really matters on the checking off. Like, because once you participate in it, it just wanted to know who's paying tax. That's really what it is, because you're still getting taxed.
That's a fact.
Brother, sorry, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Islam, or you got anything to add in?
Yeah, I mean, from what he just read, and I read that too in my studies, and it said in the absence of a national identification card. So what that means is the national identification card is the standard, and we the only ones that walk around with that. So we're the only ones actually really following that. We're the actual only lawful ones, like we've been saying. Everybody else is either a foreigner or property of the United States corporation. That's it.
Right.
We only people actually walking around free. And if you ask me, the very first census, the 1790 census, came right after the Sundry Free Moors Act.
Here we
It
go.
doesn't list more on the census. Exactly. It doesn't list more on that census, but we know that years after that, Abraham Africanus Lincoln was in court and testified for more on behalf that he was not a Negro. So even almost 100 years after that, people were still claiming. So this is before the prophet. For all of these crazy people out here talking about, oh, you got to be a part of the Moorish Science Temple to be a Moor. How did the Moorish Science? All you got to do is ask this: how did the Moorish Science Temple get its name if Moors didn't exist before that temple?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's insane. Some of the things that these people say, So it's like, I don't.
Somebody just put this one in the chat. We'll put this one out to everybody on to give their piece on this. But what's the difference between allodial nationality card and temple card?
I mean, the it's right there in the name. Temple membership. Allodial, you are in sovereign. You are in your proper status. You're a part of a nation. Like, you are heir to the land.
Islam. Good, Mark.
I got one question. What's the opposite of Velodio? Opposite of Velodio is feudal. So yeah. If you look up the definition of Velodio, it'll show you right there in the definition. The opposite is feudal. So it's like think about how you're saying it. Allodial, identity or national identity card, right? And then temple identity card. What are the temples doing? The temples call me a rogue Moor. I'm a rogue Moor, right? Because I study on my own. I don't need no damn master. Excuse my Moorish French. I don't need no master. I'm just going to do it on my own.
Why are you saying it from the perspective of you don't need a master? Is that because of the experience you had with them? That's how they were doing the temple card?
Yep. So I got a story, Morris. Now, can't name me, but one of my homies, right? He came to me a couple years ago, like just in search for just some knowledge, and I've been kind of on my knowledge search and journey for a couple of years now. I just learned about I just claimed my nationality or proclaimed my nationality in 2015. But what I'm talking about is like a little bit before then. I had him proclaim. I helped him proclaim his. I helped give him a shahada. So from that, he found. Came to me one day like, yo, I need some more. Yo, what's more than that? I said, you just said it, bro. He's like, what you mean? I was like, you said what's more than that? The only thing more than that is more. He was like, bro, you just talking in circles. I had to hit him with the prophet that RV Bay. Within a year, he popped back up on me, and he had a temple ID. And my thing was like, wait a minute. This more moves around a lot. He'd be in and out of the territory, so he's a traveler. So I'm like, where'd you get that? And he said, oh, I got it from Philly, temple with Azim Bay in them. Anthony Hopkins Bay. I said, bro, I told you to stay away from the temples out here, didn't I? He was like, no, they ain't do nothing wrong, bro. Everything was good. I seen Sabir in there and all that. I was like, all right, more. Well, so, some time went by. Last night, right after that class we had, and the mothers, right, this dude calls me in the middle of nowhere. And it was just like, when I seen the phone ring, I kind of knew something was off. It was just like out of nowhere, and it was just weird. When I answered the phone, more, anybody do this to you, do not hang with them no more. Because that's probably, it means something. He called me my straw. And I'm like, hello? What the hell did you just call me that for? He's like, oh, my fault, bro. I forgot your title and appellation. So, how do you forget my title and appellation? What's going on? And then, from the gate, he just starts asking me this weird stuff, making weird claims. And he didn't want to hear nothing. Like, he didn't want to let me talk. Well, you already know, Morris, when I start going. But he was like, yeah, like, they taught you everything wrong, bro. The main temple is down there in Washington, D.C. I said, what? I said, how? How is that possible when the capital is Sheikh Mecca? He said, where's Sheikh Mecca at? I said, oh my gosh. I said, you standing in it. He's like, oh, Philly's Sheikh Mecca? That's what it's called? I was like, they didn't teach you that in the temple? He's like, no, well, they don't go in on that, bro. That's what I mean to tell you, bro. Like, honestly, bro, I was talking to Sabir, and I'm about to start traveling and going out in the world like he is. I'm about to get my money, bro. I'm gonna set my radio station up. And honestly, all this talk, he was like, honestly, bro, I can't do this no more. I said, you can't do what? He's like, I can't do I said, you won't want to be a Moor no more? He like, no, bro, I'm just, I'm chilling. I can't do that. My daughter good, she a Bay, she was born a Bay. But I'm gonna just, I'm gonna chill so I can get my fiat. And I'm like, well, how is that going to work with your daughter when she gets my age? She's going to want to know why didn't you tell her? What happened? Like, what happened, Dad? How come you ain't got the spare? Where your spares at? He go in the damn basement. It's in some box all dusty. Can't. So that happened more. So just to let y'all know, like, this stuff that's going on, y'all really got to stand up at this point if you really saying that you're more. Like, I don't care if you know it all or not. Just you got to stand up at this point, bro. Because people is dropping like flies. And I don't want to see any of these people that I fell in love with over these years do that, bro. This shit hurts to see. So just stick to the book, yo. Stick to the mothers study, and y'all be good. I want to see y'all on the other side. Islam.
Islam. You good, brother Yusuf?
Yeah, Islam, Grand Sheik.
Islam, boy.
Yeah, I yield the floor right now. The brother just went in again. I love when the Moors come on and do class. I love when they come on.
Yeah.
Islam, brother Yusuf. That's Islam. That's pretty brothers all day.
Islam.
Islam, boy.
For anybody else? If anybody else has something to put out there, there's the link.
I'll get to you in just a second. So you know, that's a big issue. Prophet Noble Drew Ali did not separate himself. If he said, well, hey, I'm a Moor and y'all are Negroes, y'all identify as Negroes, y'all identify as black, I ain't got nothing to do with y'all, there'd be no Moorish movement. You see what I'm saying? We honor the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey as a forerunner of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, hold him in high esteem. He identified as a Negro. Figure it out. You see what I'm saying? So
what? Bro, what did he just say out of his mouth? Okay, all right. This is another thing that we got to do more. I don't mean to do this like this, but I've been turned up all week, and it's like it's got to stop. How long he say he's been doing this? 27 years.
27 years.
Well, I got the book called Morocco as It Is by Stephen Bonso Jr. If you go to page 270. Right, 207 with 27 with the mother behind it, right? Go 27 or 270. Go to that page, first paragraph. It says, "But money is money after all. My companion this time was a Moorish American." Wait, how? Whoa, wait a minute. This book was written way before the Prophet was even thought of. How is there a Moorish American in there? And they talking about ancient Morocco stuff, right? When darkness set in the American Khalifa, let us arrive back to the pandemic. Wait a minute. How is there American Khalifa?
Hold on. Start over. Start over. Start over.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Start over.
Money is money after all, right? So we talk about that gold and silver back then. Money is money after all. And my companion this time was a Moorish American. Oh, so he must have had a good time over here in the Orient, the real Orient, not no Occident. This is the Orient. He must have had a good time because Moors had, Moors was mercy. My companion this time was a Moorish American. When darkness set in the American Khalifa, left us to ride back to Tangier, and the villagers dispersed to their homes. Now, wait a minute. How is there an American Khalifa? How is that? What is that? Is that California Moors? Does that mean that Tangiers is over here too, Moors? You got to understand, these people are talking about one land, but they just don't want to tell you what the name of it is. So if I gave y'all the name of it right here. Go to the front of the book. This is for all these Moor haters, these Moors and black peasants that hate being Moors. But watch this. Morocco as It Is, chapter 1. Decline of the Sharifian Empire. Hey, Sharif. Guess what happened to your empire, Sharif? Decline of the Sharifian Empire. Geographical descriptions. The Aboriginal Maori. The Aboriginal Maori. Who's that? Who's this? What, Barbary? A Roman province. Well, we hate Rome. Not dealing with Rome. The conquest by Muslim Sulama. The inhabitants of the population at the present day. Tangier as an English crown colony. Whoa. What's going on? The subjugation of our empire, guys. Go down to this guy. The king of the Algarve. Muley Ishmael and Muley Hassan. Do you know that Muley Hassan was over here and he gave Muley Ishmael a large tribute? Guess what it was, guys? It was an elephant that made Muley Ishmael look like an ant. And Muley Ishmael was like 7'3". That's how Moors worked over here. And it was called the Western Barbary, the Empire of Morocco, or as called by its inhabitants, the Al-Maghrib al-Aqsa. So nobody from outside of here can call this what we call it because we're the inhabitants of this Al-Maghrib al-Aqsa. Through imperial connections to the mother bloodline of the Rone woman of the Guyana Shaga. It all goes back to the women, guys. It all goes back to the women bloodline. 5 titles or 5 tribe names. We know the tribes are really nations because it's women that are the tribes. Producers. That's the nation. Y'all know y'all principles. Y'all know y'all titles. Let's get it.
Yep. That's what it is. That's what it is. That was a good one. That was a good one. Moorish American before Moorish American.
And Khalifa in America before Wiz.
Yeah, and Khalifa. That's crazy.
And what was that?
See, we got 2 on there.
Sharifian
Islam
Empire.
was Sharifian Empire.
And this guy is up here going back to sleep, but he got an empire that he got to get back.
Wow. Telling people to check black. Crazy. Islam Moors, I see you on there. You got anything to add? No. Okay, Moors just showing love.
Be sure, Moors, go to kungfusyracuse.com. Kung Fu, SYRACUSE.com. Kungfusyracuse.com. So you can see how Mr. Sharif Bey is selling steroids for Reiki masters at $120 a pop. And then let's see what else we got here. We got $90 steroids Reiki master stuff too. So he's selling Reiki master pills, steroids. What I don't even know, bro. But it's a lot of fiat. $90, $120. We got little sessions with Grandmaster Funk Flex Yin Qing Wei seminar, $120. I can't afford all that. Free fighting seminar. It says free fighting seminar, but it's $85. Free fighting seminar, $85. Man, who are we dealing with? That dude was good, but after he got his head knocked by that European on the L, more, he got knocked out on the L. That's more science. European knock you out by the L. If you don't wake up a day, yeah, you went back to sleep.
So how am I gonna be like, okay, well, I'm joining the Board Science of America. I'm gonna put a feather on my head, and I no longer identify as Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian, etc. But my aunts and my uncles all still do. Oh, I'm different from them now. You see what I'm saying? It's like we got to stop that. We have to stop that. You know, what the prophet taught is not that we are no longer what our the rest of our family members are, the rest of our people are. What he taught was the names that we have been identified by are inappropriate for people. We're still the same people. We don't separate ourselves from our people.
Then why are we going to check off Negro, black, color on the damn thing and write more? If he just like that, what he just said goes against what he said before that. This guy is double talking. That is a damn. That's what the Masons do. They double talk and backmask and all that crap. What is he talking about, bro?
I have no idea.
This is Sharif. I cannot believe this, bro. I cannot believe it.
No,
this is Sharif.
Sharif, the Mufti. This is the Mufti right here. Talking crazy.
He knows, though. He knows.
Talking,
like, he's doing it still.
Talking off the chain right now.
Woo.
And like we're telling Morris, like we were saying yesterday, the whole time that the Arabs put us onto him. Yo, the Arabs put us onto him.
Man.
Yo, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable how deep the sellout is.
The struggles are the same. Everything's the same. The only thing different with us is that we are not identifying ourselves the way we've been taught to identify ourselves. And we're returning to Islam. That's the difference. You see?
So,
okay.
Does the tackle on the feds have meaning?
Yes. So, I mean, just in general, without, going into any kind of crazy science or whatever, we don't have to science it all up. The tassel swings freely and it represents 360 degrees. What it represents is, and the same thing, very similar to what the tassel and the headgear for the graduate represents. It represents someone who is highly cultured. Highly cultured. So that being said, let me say this. When you have brothers and sisters calling themselves Moorish Americans and members of the movement, or ascribing to the Moorish American movement, but they're cursing and acting wild and crazy, right? That is not indicative of having high culture. That means you've no discipline. You're a savage in the pursuit of happiness, as your school of thought would call it. You see what I'm saying? And so, again, it's not what you say you know that identifies you as a Moorish American. It's how you act. It's how you treat people that identifies you as a Moorish American.
Telling people to check black is a curse.
So more shouldn't walk around cursing, but it's okay to tell people to go curse themselves. Okay. He just said it's okay to be black, bro. Like, he basically was saying it's okay to be black if you just know in the back of your mind you were more.
That's how you get by. That's how all of them are getting by.
And then more. Wait, I never even thought about this. Wow, it's hard to even get out. We're seeing this whole emergence of Moors reconnecting with the NOI only after the NOI connected with the Scientology movement. And then all this talk about, sovereign citizen this and sovereign citizen that, and we created it. Whoa! Is this part of the? It's weird, bro. Because remember we interviewed Peter Moon.
Yeah.
He keep it real. He said that basically the Scientologists, and I went to New York. I went down there and I popped up on these guys, and they're basically the Moors thing. They just trying to get popular, so they're trying to get affiliated with whatever black group to get down with them, so they can get that black popularity. Because we got the most following ever. That's who our people is. Everybody knows us, we don't know ourselves. Yeah. So they got around the NOI to like usurp the NOI's energy through the science they know, Dianetics and all that. So they playing the back burner and they're generating all the energy off Farrakhan telling the truth and stuff like that. Crazy.
Native X, I think you should go back and listen to the full. He says, why do we say Islam is our original religion when it's known to be an Arab tradition? I think you should go back. He already kind of broke that down already.
Well, brother, let me touch on that really quick. You said an Arab religion, right? Okay, or Arab custom, right? Watch this. We have no problem. We get it when we see the Europeans running around that are culturally of our brothers and sisters that are Hebrew, right? And they call themselves Jews. We have no problem with that. But we think that couldn't happen anywhere else, right? For some reason, we believe that Arab culture and the Arab identity wasn't also co-opted. You see what I'm saying? Our brother, my brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, that's my brother. His book, Black Arabia, is absolutely amazing in this respect. And it greatly underscores and supports Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teaching But Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, the key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. Who do you think he's talking about? He's talking about the original Arabs. There's a book called The Unknown Arabs by Tariq.
Yeah, boy.
And then the original Arab is the so-called Saba people, or the Sabaeans, and it goes back to Abyssinia. Like, they're not Ethiopian, they're Abyssinian. So the southern ones, the ones that went south, that's what you would call an Arab. And Arab just means to leave from or to go out. And it also means in different ways that you say it, it means mix. Arab, the mix. And if you say Arab, like Arab, like with that Rab in there, the Rab, like Arab, it makes it different. It means to go out, like to wander. But the Arab, like when you say it quicker like that, it means to mix. So the mix and wander is Arab. But when you look at there's what is that book? Well, I can't remember the book, but they were talking about West Africa and the people of West Africa, and they talked about how the ancient Berbers were the original people of that land over there, and then the people that they got with the Westerners, aka the Phoenicians. So we already know why they're Western, right? Maghreb al-Aqsa, the extreme West. So the Westerners got with the Berbers and created when they came together, they were the Carthaginians. They named everything over there, even all the Roman stuff. They named it. They named Mauritania, and when they said, when they made a distinction in 8th century Latin language, they made a distinction between Arab and Marusi or Moor. And they said that Moor, these are the Carthaginians, they said that Moor meant people from Mauritania. So it instantaneously tied you back to a land, like how Dr. Andrew Clark said. But when the Greeks came in and said it, they said that, it means black. But the people who named all them other places, the Phoenicians, they said it means Mauritania. So who we gonna listen to? The ones who named it all, or the ones who crossed the Iberian Peninsula and became known as the Hebrews? So that's the Hebrews, like the original Greeks that crossed over the Iberian Peninsula. They became known as the Hebrews because that's what the Phoenicians called them. The Hebrew. You cross over Iberia. We put in, back then the Iberia, it was just called Hiberia. They put the H on the front. And that's where you see where the Hebrew thing comes from. So it just shows you, like, tying us back to the ancient. And this guy, the one who's supposed to know, he act like he never heard of this before. What a tassel means and all that type of stuff. And if we're black or not. That is not a question. Black is a color, and it's Spanish for Negro thing, or a black object. And it's an international trade, and we can't be that.
Yes,
Barry. Get the book.
There it is.
Get the book.
Peace. Welcome to the Brother Ben X Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ben X. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sharif Bey. This is Brother Fatih Muhammad. I have a question on when you said of how there's people who act like they're from the Moorish Science Temple, but they are cursing and stuff like that. Do you think that there are people who are portraying themselves, acting like they're members of the Moorish Science Temple, but they're really not?
Absolutely, brother. One of the things that the Quran of Mecca says, it says that there was no argument until after truth came. See, the devil, and the only devil, according to Jesus, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the only devil man must be redeemed from his self, his lower self, right? And so the devil always fights a rear guard action. If you're doing bad or you're doing wrong, he ain't got to do nothing. It's only when you take when you take off in the direction of the right that he now has something to oppose. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like in the Nation of Islam. There's a whole bunch of people that say, "Oh, I'm down with the nation," right? To a degree. Right. I'm going to tell you why. To a degree, I say that to a degree. The nation has done an excellent job, relatively speaking, of policing itself, right? So, you just can't pop up on Facebook and create a Facebook group that says, "Oh, the real Nation of Islam." You can't do that to me. See what I'm saying? Now we have in the Moorish movement, you know, we're in the process of we're moving in the science of Jesus, you know, when he went into Jerusalem in broad daylight on the back of a donkey, and the first place he went was the temple. And he put his foot in the backside of every money changer in there and kicked them out. Right? So the idea is we're in a position now where we have to do a lot of cleaning up. One of the advantages, and I'll say this, that the Nation of Islam.
How come we got to do a lot of cleaning up, but you're not talking about all Moors cleaning up? It's not just Moorish Science Temple alone that needs to clean up. NOI needs to clean up. If UNI is out there, they need to clean up. If Nuwapians out there, they need to clean up. Rastafarians need to clean up. Everybody needs to clean up. Our thing is that our cleanup doesn't involve anybody else because nobody else is going to say that they're Moors. So this is our personal business as far as the cleaning up. Because outsiders are not going to know the inside information of what's going on. But remember that the foundation of what Noble Drew Ali brought is nationality and birthrights. Everybody after him was not about nationality and birthrights. So whatever they have to say, it doesn't really matter really. Because they have no status, so they can't talk. They're cardboard. Because they have a dead status. Because the Moors, we know what it is to be in full life. We're the ones with a nationality. So when they talk about this thing about, you know, we got a clean house because there's Moors who are rogue Moors and they don't follow the Prophet and all this, that's not what's going on. The infighting is amongst everybody who's claiming that they don't want to be Moors. So like we say, Sharif, Taharka, whoever else, all those people, there's no real issue. They know they're Moors. They might be on the dirty side, but they know that they're Moors. There's no debate about are we Moors with them. The real people who have to clean house are our people, pretending like they're not Moors. And then you have Moors trying to convince them, oh yeah, it's all right, you can call yourself whatever. Let's just do this for the sake of unity with our people. That's not how do you figure? How are you not going to get the same treatment that they got if you're going into ward jurisdiction with them? You're a Moor, but you're going into ward jurisdiction. You think they're not going to treat you like a ward?
That's like a victimized thinking.
You really think they're not going to treat you like a ward? Because you got fez on? There's Moors right now who was in a car with somebody that had their fez on and somebody else didn't. They took a ride from a Negro and now they got issues. Just because they're in a car with a Negro when they're a Moor. And you're telling me that, oh yeah, unity or whatever? What are you talking about? On some social high, how you doing? Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? We do that anyways. That's not nationhood. Like we say, that's barbecue. That's picnic. We're not talking about picnic. We're talking about us being a nation. That we know that we already have a flag for it. We already have the customs and the headwear for it. All we need is the people to say that they're it. You think you can't be Kemetic, whatever, and wear a fez? Why not? What do you mean? You're gonna wear makeup or whatever and say you're ancient Egyptian, you can't put a fez on? For real? You're gonna go dress up like Power Rangers or whatever, but you can't put a fez on. That's the oppressors or whatever. Nationality is the order of the day. These people know without a shadow of a doubt that nationality is the order of the day. When they talk about civil whatever, they're talking nationality. They're just ignorant. That's really what they mean. When they talk about black nation or whatever, that's what they're talking about. They say Nation of Islam, they're talking about Moroccan nation. Let's talk about their little organization. So the fact that there's people in the Nation of Islam who are Els and Bays and Alis, what do you mean you guys aren't Moors? There's people in the NOI who are Bays. If there's Alis and Bays in the Nation of Islam, then why is everybody else playing X? And then how are we going to unify if you don't even know what your name is? How are we going to really have some unity if you're telling me my last name means I don't know what my name means because it was stolen from me? And again, it's going to be just like Django when he came in on the horse. And at that point, before they go grab some pitchforks and slaughter all these people and leave the plantation, they just watch Django ride off on the horse. That's how enslaved their mind is. And exactly what your own are trying to do to you by playing these games of unity. Listen, we had the Unity Conference. And like Noble Jwali said, it's only going to be a handful saved, so we just look out for Moors. You don't know about your birthright? Cool. We'll deal with you. Wherever you are. Doesn't matter. Right? You got this is birthrights. Everybody knows. Everybody's supposed to be down with the program by now. They're still not down with it. They have some type of ulterior motives. Because they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're taking the side of keep you confused. Keep you asking the question, how come our people can't just get along? Why are they whatever? Because we keep siding with traitors. And why would siding with a traitor be prosperous to your nation? What the hell are you talking about? So here we are, and we'll probably be here. That's why we do our best to revolve around Moors who know about their birthrights and people who, no matter what they call themselves, but they're in support 100% with where we are. And support wholeheartedly, support financially, support with their energy, support with whatever links they got, and they're gonna bring it to the temple because they know that this is where it's at. Everything else is not even worth the time. We know that the sellout is real. We know the sellout's real. We're not blinded of that. We know that you don't know. So you're gonna get caught up in some, forget being a Moor, just like the Moor said, this boy said, I don't want to be a Moor anymore. What the hell are you talking about?
Crazy.
What do you mean you don't want to be a Moor when you said you're a Moor? You said you're a Moor, and then you became a doctor, and then you don't want to be a doctor anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna burn this degree and all that. You think you're not a doctor still? Or you think you're not a doctor because you burned the certificate? All right. Keep playing. Keep playing around. Because always remember that if you don't get it right this time, you might not make it back here in human form. Think about that. If you don't get it right this time, before you, because you've been here. We're not new to this plane. If you don't get it right this time, you might not come back in human form. And if that's all we know, what are you talking about? What could we come back as? What do you mean by that? And what do you mean if I don't get it right? You mean I didn't have it right all this time? Nah, you're playing around. Following some people who could care less whether you claim your nationality or not. Because they're a recycle. They've chose to continually come back here, cause confusion, keep the people from reaching deific life when them and Allah are one. They want you to see that, especially you mothers. Especially you mothers. They want you to be God. Shut down the cookie factory and let these men get their stuff straight. Guarantee, no cookies, men will straighten up quick, fast. All these Moors, Fezes will be straight and all that. So keeping you dumbed down, even when you claim conscious or know thyself or whatever, still keep you dumbed down. So don't be dumbed down. Study, study, study. So you don't get played and not make it back here in human form. And whatever it is that you come back as. Everything looks bigger than you. You might be an insect. Who knows? If everything looks like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you probably have a problem.
The grass is too high.
Islam war.
Oh, Islam Grand Sheik. We about to end.
But I see somebody put the thing on, but they're not saying nothing. They're just chilling, I guess.
Don't be scared.
Islam.
No, I just wanted to read from the prophet real quick.
Oh, for sure.
Most
definite.
Y'all all know this one, but this is needed for right now because we ain't heard it in a minute, and it's so on point for like what's been going on in the movement. This is a caveat emptor by Noble Jali. It says, Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such realms. They try, but their own bad planning brings down the wrath upon their heads like the sword old Democles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunning find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by the Prophet Noble Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Noble Ali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They are the vanguards of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road years before, the prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemes work. The traders grin and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road as the true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high catch scent, devour and leave crying out, "Caveat emptor!" Cast out the dead carcass. The Moors above see these plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists hurls themselves downward by their own work as the hawk waits.
Islam. Yeah, one of the Moors was trying to get him the link, but of course they're gonna play around sometimes. Most times they're gonna play around. But yeah, Moors, you know, be mindful. Be mindful. Because your own wearing turbans and feathers will try to confuse you. Have you so messed up. Have you crazy messed up. So make sure that you're doing your studying. Make sure you're doing your studying. Study is essential. Ujwali knew what he was doing, and all we have to do is step in those footprints.
So it's around to the chat. One of the Moors said, no trolls in the chat tonight. Tonight is a good night.
Yeah, I know, yeah, yo, the trolls are quiet. The trolls are quiet. Islam more.
Peace. Islam more. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you more.
Peace. I've just been observing this Anton Maddox L, and I've just been observing, and it's like you guys say, it's pretty simple. You know, they just complicate it. You know, it's pretty simple. You read, and you do the research, and you come to understanding, and you comprehend, and you apply the work. It's really that simple.
Right.
Just like I was stopped by a policy enforcer, and they told me that I was jaywalking. I said, no, what if I was W walking? And I took that totally to the bank, and they left me alone. They left me alone, you know, because it's simple. It's really simple. Then he asked me what state do I live in, and I said I live in the state of mind. And then he thought, you know, it's like, okay, so you're not cooperating. He said, you're not cooperating. I said, I'm not a cooperative. Yeah. So after that, they got frustrated and just literally walked away, because I don't live in the mind. I live in a fantasy world. I live in a fantasy world of factual things. If it says black, then hey, it's the color black. You can't say black man wearing a black hat with a black gun. You know, you can't do that. Especially not in law. Black man wearing a black shirt with a black firearm. You know, oh my goodness. I'll be all day going into it, but it's pretty simple. It's simple. It's our mother has a home, right? Our ancestral mother has a home. We are the descendants of that home. You had strangers and you had cousins from across the world that we let live in that home. And over time, they handed the family members that were blood heirs in that home little trinkets like maybe furs and little food stamps and things of that nature. So they were getting favor in there. Say, you know what? Let me take over the bathroom, and I'm gonna take over the bathroom, and I'm gonna do the bathroom and for you every day, so you don't have to come in. So we're like, okay, sure, clean the bathroom. Then the cousin says, hey, I'll do the kitchen. And so now the foreigners got the bathroom, and now the cousin has the kitchen, right? But this is our mother's house all at the same time. And we got all these beautiful furs and minks and all this gold and stuff in the living room that they're giving us for little perks, you know? And now all of a sudden, it takes a credit card for us to get into the kitchen or the bathroom. And now they say, you know what, I ain't letting you in on Fridays. It's turned to theirs, you know? And as time goes on, that builds, and then some of the heirs pass off, and the true history doesn't get told that this is your mother's home, and there's a title in her. Look at my mother's old room. That's old stuff. Why are you bringing that up? You know, and it's things of that nature. But we're literally in our mother's house, and we're letting foreigners and our cousins dictate what type of government we could be up under when they can be our government, because government is blood, family. It literally is. And you appoint them. You say, I have cousins across the world. I want to trade corn. And you.
Well, they're playing with you more.
Come on. That's crazy.
They're playing with you more. I don't know if you're hearing me or not, but they got you muted right now.
That's
They
funny.
muted you.
What? They didn't want to hear it, though. That's crazy. The prophet looking over look at the prophet though. Like how he looking at this whole thing. Like, man, this is crap. This is a bunch of crap. Y'all good? That's the face I get off.
We straight, yo. We straight.
But that Moore brought up a prominent point. I was talking to a couple Moors about that, like the Moorish paradigm. It seems like a house, like, and we've been subjugated to the basement. But we as Moors, some of us have made it up our way through the house, all the way up to the top, to the master bedroom, and we went into the drawer of the so-called owner of this place, right? And then we see that it's not a mortgage. It's actually an allodial title, and our mother's names is on it. All our mother's names is on its allodial title. So we get from the upstairs, and we come back down to the basement. We try to tell everybody, yo, this is not a mortgage. Like, we got an allodial title. Our mom, they're like, what is an allodial title? Whose mother? What are you talking about? It's like all these arguments. That's pointy for them about the house. I wish you could have finished it. Thanks, YouTube. But
Crazy. Yeah, that's
YouTube. Like, we're not Moors.
Don't worry more. We'll work on it and get you it again. We'll get you it again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely stay in tune or send an email so we got the contact so I could contact you, let you know when we're going in. And I think they've been playing with the thing too, because some people have been telling me they haven't been getting the notifications either when we're going live.
I gotta check y'all. Like, I gotta check your page every goddamn 5 minutes, because they turn my notifications off too. I can't do anything on my phone. I'm like, they block me from everything.
For real. Islam. Oh,
man, Islam more.
Hold on. I think the more tried again. Hold on. Let's see. Islam more. Oh, yeah, they're playing with you hard.
Wow.
They're playing with you hard.
Wow. He popped back up and he can't speak. That's crazy. He cut everybody notifications. It's crazy. You can't know.
Messed up. That's how they do it. Islam brother
that's
Yusuf.
how you know we doing the work.
Yep. Yeah, all these more saying they got their notifications cut.
Yeah, more. Keep getting the notifications cut. We doing good work.
We're doing something. We got something going on.
Yep.
Islam to all the Moors worldwide. I don't know if Brother Yusuf's there still. I see him still there, but he might be caught up with the apples right now.
The real work?
That's the real work. Get them apples done. Sure.
Right. And to y'all families, kiss those children, and like honor y'all mothers. You know, that's the only thing I can tell y'all. Honor y'all mothers.
Yep.
And just don't worry about these people basking in this sultry midday sun. Don't worry about that. Just stick to to being a vanguard of this movement. There ain't nobody gonna guard it but us. So Islam, y'all.
Islam more.
77 watching right now.
So, yep. Yeah, this 77. That's a good one to cut on. Peace and love to all the Moors. Islam. And we'll see what's good for the rest of the week. But yeah, look for something though. You already know. Islam Moors.